I think moving past the decision to get a device, what does it look like to do it well and to guide our kids in that? And honestly, just take a step back and evaluate our own usage with it. Here we are.
Yes.
At home, our very first with Sophia.
Hi.
Thanks for being on with us today.
I'm excited.
Good.
We're excited too.
I'm nervous. But
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to come on and do this. So thank you for your courage. And I'm excited for everyone to get to hear what you have to share today. Yeah.
It's okay to be nervous. For our burning question today, it's less of a question and more of a rollout. We have multiple. We have Crystal-Vu1 at IGM_Dex, Chrissy Marie, Lacunmi, many others. And they were around, thank you for doing an episode with your teenage son. Could we see one with your teenage daughter? And also kids and screens. So here we are. This entire episode will be the answer to those burning questions because we're talking about screens today. Yeah. And this is just a continuation of a current conversation that we are in the process of having with both our daughter Sophia, who is 12, 12 and more than 12. She'll be 13 in March.
Yeah, 13 in March.
And our son Asher, who just turned 14 in September. So babe, start us off giving kind of an overview of where we're at in the process of the conversation, because that was our heart. We wanted to just kind of bring people in on where we were already at and also have your incredible wisdom and insight as the receiver in this conversation. So I think I threw it to you first.
You did. No, you threw it to me. Then you looked at her.
Yeah.
But we've been having the conversation internally about screens and phones and everything that goes with that for a long time. And we've taken a pretty hard line when it comes to screens as almost like a necessary evil.
Yeah.
I would say at times that's worked well for us. At times it's been problematic. And so when we bring a phone, which is the ultimate portable, accessible screen into the lives of our now young adults, we're asking this question, what does it look like? What does it look like to do this faithfully and do this well and set them up to succeed? And also not try to deny the reality of our world and how screens are such a big part of our world and how people engage and function. So this has been a messy conversation.
Yeah.
And it's been one where we're still trying to figure out the right path forward. And so we're not coming to the table like, hey, we have all of the answers, but we do want to come to the table with some insights into our process, to some of the answers that we've found, and also share some of the questions that we think are important that help us find and frame the right answers. So that's where we're at today. And I just some stats just so we understand the landscape of screens, because it does feel like, especially your age, it's like everyone has a phone. Mom and dad, come on. Everyone, all my friends have a phone. I'm the only person without a phone. And for me, this became real when I was driving them home from youth group one day, and I had a whole bunch of young adults in my car, and I think I had every seat filled. We have a Honda Pilot. Every seat was filled with teenagers, and they were all on their phones except for Asher and Sophia. And every bit of conversation, every experience, everything that they talked about during the ride had to do with their phones. And it hit me. I'm like, man, this is so different for my kids than it was for me, because when I was young, I was like, yeah, a phone is cool and most people had it, but it wasn't the thing that we engaged our world through or that we understood the world through.
It was utilitarian.
It was.
You
it was,
needed
hey, this
it
is
for
utility.
a purpose.
I'm going to use it. Maybe I'll text every once in a while, mainly used for calls back then, aging myself or dating myself right now.
But so if that was his experience driving, what is your experience being the kid in that dynamic without a phone?
I started wanting a phone when riding to youth group, I rode with a girl, and then we would pick up her other friend, and they'd be on their phones talking about something.
Like texting back and forth.
Yeah, and on a group chat, I'd be like, what's going on? And they'd be like, oh, nothing, it's nothing. And it was just kind of like I felt really left out.
Yeah.
And the FOMO would kick in a lot, and it was not fun. And then like I really wanted a phone then because they all had one. I didn't really like care about the use. It just kind of felt like if you want to be in the club, you got to get a phone. So, yeah.
Is that how you still feel?
Not as much since I kind of left that group. I definitely still want a phone, but definitely not as much as I did last time.
So being around other friends who also don't have a phone, has that helped you want one less or feel like you needed one to belong?
Probably want one less because I like know it's just not me. Like I know there's other kids that don't have phones and maybe iPads, you know.
Because iPad kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they call themselves iPad kids because
If you
they do.
give out an email when someone asks for your number,
it's awkward.
You're an iPad kid.
you're automatically an iPad
Yeah,
kid.
my
What if you have nothing?
That would it'd probably be hard because even just not having a phone, like you can't figure out like hanging out with people and like things going on. So that's kind of hard, but I feel like I could survive.
Well, you have.
Yeah. Well, I've had an iPad, so it's not like fully like I can't take it anywhere. So I guess it's not the same, but I still could text and
You could
yeah.
carry it around. And then
Well, I did that the first time I got it, but then I realized that's kind of weird. Like I bring it when I remember I brought it to the zoo to San Diego and I like took it out and it was like taking photos.
I thought it was great. So we're at the point in our conversation where we are.
Yeah. Let me share these stats real quickly because we didn't get around to
great.
that. No, you're good. But 42% of kids have a phone by age 10.
42?
42%. So this is common sense media. 71% at 12. And then 91% at 14.
Wow.
So we're looking at that preteen, early teen age. And the sense, hey, the majority of my friends have a phone and I don't. And that FOMO is real.
Yeah.
And I can't remember where I read it, that the way that they relate to a phone is like a limb.
Yeah.
It's not just this thing in your pocket that does things. And I have felt that. And it's very alarming to me when my phone,
Like you'll
I don't know
die
where it is. I'm like, where's my
without it.
phone? Where's my phone? Like I'm missing my third
Normally I
arm.
have it.
Well, over half, I
My
mean, same
substitute
source,
phone.
over half of Americans say they are addicted to their phones. Like their
Yeah.
phones feel like something that they can't live without.
Which
It's a go-to.
that's a reason I kind of don't want a phone because I'm scared I'm going to get addicted, which I'm not positive I will, but like you never know.
And for me, hearing that come out of your mouth is a reason why I would want to get you a phone. Because your dad and I have chose really early on in our parenting journey, we weren't going to operate from fear. And I think if we're honest, we have to recognize in this area in particular, for me, it's been capacity, but there's definitely some fear in there of, oh my gosh, the amount of attention and training and intentionality that's going to have to be given to showing you guys what does it look like to function with this device as a tool for your good, not a tool for your harm. Feels really scary and time consuming. So we have in a lot of ways just chosen to put it off and
To avoid it entirely.
and
It is
also
messy.
there's the reality that our oldest child has pretty regularly shown that he's not at the level that we would have assumed he needed to be at. Like, oh, you've arrived, we're going to entrust you with this now. But he's now over 14. And so recently, Addison and I, in this ongoing conversation, recognized we have 2 years, less than 2 years, before he's potentially driving, and then 4 years, less than 4 years when he's 18. And so our time frame to train him under our home, under our guidance, is shrinking.
Yeah.
And that has become probably, for me, one of the loudest factors in going ahead and getting a device. So I think moving past the decision to get a device, what does it look like to do it well and to then to guide our kids in that? And honestly, just take a step back and evaluate our own usage with it, because I do believe that that's where it starts. And I've had that awareness heightened since we started talking about this so seriously with, oh, wow, it has to start with me. It has to start with you if we want to really show our kids what it looks like to consistently have an ongoing healthy relationship with our phone.
Yeah. This is something that we really can't afford not to engage, as you're saying. So for us, it's the question of how do we engage it the right way? And I think the key, Julie, is to do it together. And that has been a shift for us, is we're not dictating, hey, this is what everything needs to look like. We're seeking to understand their position and their needs, their desires when it comes to a phone and what that represents, and ask ourselves as parents, are we not addressing these in ways that we should? And because of that, they're defaulting to this desire of a phone as a cure-all. And so something that we've done is we've said, hey, the four of us, let's talk about this and let's pray about this. And I actually challenged Asher to go spend time alone with God and to just pray into this and be like, hey, silence yourself before God, create space, and just ask God, what do you have for me? Surrender your desire, because he probably wants the phone more than anyone.
Yeah.
And it's like, surrender that desire, but also seek to better understand that desire. Give it to God, and then see what God speaks to you. Like, create space for God to be God in their lives as a parent. Facilitate that, because I felt like I just kept going back to, here are the reasons for, here are the reasons against, here are the things you're not doing right, here's a reason why you shouldn't have your phone. And he wasn't hearing it the way I wanted him to hear most of the time.
But he also was approaching the entire conversation from a victim mentality of, I should already have a phone because all of my peers have a phone.
Because I'm late to this party. And based on the data, if we're just measuring it based on what everyone else is doing, 91% of 14-year-olds have phones. So what he feels is real, but it's not complete. And I think that's where we as parents, when it comes to navigating teenage years, is we make the mistake of dismissing what they feel and what they're navigating, calling it unreal, when the truth is it is real, but it's not complete.
Yeah.
And I think that's the journey of maturity, is into a greater understanding of what is real. And so for us, it's not us kind of working things behind the scenes and putting everything in motion and aligning it and leaving them out. Like, I want to bring them into the struggle, the danger, the opportunity that comes with owning a phone, and make this decision together and line out what it's going to require of us as parents, and also what it's going to require of them as stewards of a phone, because it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
But I do feel like, I love what you shared earlier. We have 4 years with Asher, 5.5 years with Sophie, to navigate this.
We're not
going
to kick you out. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of really intentional.
until they turn 18.
Until I can do my own thing.
Yeah. Legally.
I probably would still live with y'all.
You're welcome to.
to navigate this in a way where they understand it, and it's not just a response or counter response to what we did. Like Asher even shares with me, and I'm having to work through this, is like we had a pretty firm rule that we didn't do any screens on Saturday, because that was a day of rest and a time of family. And there would be times when he'd be playing with friends, and then they would go do screens, and he would feel left out. And so he would come home, and it created these moments where he wasn't able to have quality time with friends. And I've had to look back at that as a parent and be like, man, did I miss something there? Like, was I trying to be controlling? Was I missing an opportunity here? And yeah, it takes a lot of humility to ask these questions, and they're hard questions to ask. And I've struggled to ask them at times, because if I get a different answer, then I have to go back and be like, okay, God, how did I miss this? And what does it mean for me going forward?
Yeah, and I mean, I have to assume that's why you and I are put together, because I even hear the statistic of 91% of 14-year-olds have a phone. I'm like, yeah, I don't care that my kids are going to be uniquely set apart from 91% of 14-year-olds. Like, there is a large number of 14-year-olds that just are being left to their own devices, literally. And for our kids to be set apart from that group is okay with me, that they will feel that they are in the world, but not of the world. Like that is what that speaks to me. And even Asher with our screen Sabbath, I feel for him that he feels that way. But as the parent making the decision, I don't believe that we made a mistake. I know for us in that season as a family, establishing Sabbath was crucial. And for our kids to not get into that screens frame of mind on Saturdays was really important. And we have seen specifically with our sons, and I do think it's unique to boys, that when they are, and video games, when they have played a lot of video games, although I have seen it with our girls, if they've watched a lot of shows or played video games, you get to the point where your brain is just not able to function in real life. And they start fighting with each other. They fight with us. So if they started that at 9 a.m. in the morning or Saturday morning cartoons, the rest of our day was pretty much just referee, which is fine. You know, there are going to be days like that. But to know better, you want to do better. And so for us, that really was the best decision at that time. Now we are in the position, like you said, of working it through with Asher, who is dealing with some frustration around the decisions we have made in regards to screens. And so moving beyond that so that there's not a swing into rebellion from what he believes we've withheld.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, also because with the grounding situation, you know, I think that also upsets Asher because, you know, you don't want to miss out. So I know I've done this before, but like straight after I got ungrounded, I've like checked him like, what's going on, you know, like I feel like it's not like okay. And weren't you saying like they tested that the amount of screen, what were you saying in the car to us?
Oh, the dopamine effect of constantly checking their phone and checking messages and seeing what's happening and getting that affirmation. Yeah, it has there's a lot of dopamine that's released, and that's unhealthy for kids. And so
it's similar to drugs.
It is.
Like you experience life. That's why they call it a high.
Yeah.
Because you experience it like the colors are more vivid on certain drugs and everything is more exciting. And so then when the chemical effect wears off, it's like, this is life. Yeah. Why would I settle for this? Sorry, I wanted her to understand the correlation.
And I mean, Gigi, Sophia, you're talking about getting off a break. Like you were grounded from your iPad, you weren't able to communicate with friends. Well, one of the 4 things that young adults need, this according to the book by Sissy Goff, is one of the things they need to connect with others in real time. And so the text, the phone is a way for them to connect, but it's not the type of connection that she's describing. I should say it's not the complete connection that she's describing here. And so what?
Well, we had a girls' night, and one of the girls there were saying that this guy like took social media off, and he said like it was way different because if the person was pregnant, like instead of saying I'm pregnant, you'd be like, you can't really get a reaction on text and stuff. But like if you saw that they were pregnant, you'd be like really happy and you'd see their real reaction. Or like with getting married, like instead of seeing the ring, instead of just saying, hey, I'm engaged, you know, you actually get to see their reaction.
Yeah. And so there is, and to your point, like there's a real form of connection. While it's not everything, it is something.
Yeah.
And that's why they're gravitating toward it, is because they want to connect. They want to belong. They want to be understood. And then the other, just so people know, the other 4.
Can I just clarify? She was talking about in person. So this guy didn't have social media. So he would see someone's pregnant belly and be like, you're pregnant. And they would get to receive that
Sorry,
moment.
I misunderstood that. Yeah.
Or he would see a ring on their finger and be like, what? Y'all got engaged?
Yeah.
Even people who wouldn't necessarily call you in the moment, but the human reaction to incredible, beautiful news, how that is something we're forfeiting by everything being on social media. And you just heart it.
Quick, heart it, move on to the next
thing. It's one
thing.
of a lot of news. You're not in person getting that initial, oh my gosh, you're pregnant. When did you get pregnant? When are you due?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like social media is a whole nother conversation. Like we're not really even opening that door on this one because that's massive.
It will be a necessary conversation.
It will be. But to move, to connect with others in real time, to be hugged, and time to be outdoors. Like these are things that people your age, they need. They need these things. And so for me, when a phone is taking the place of these, that's dangerous. But when a phone is introduced in a way where it's a tool that can support some of these things, strategically support some of these things, and facilitate some of these things, then it's like, yeah, okay, I could see how that would be helpful for someone your age to start to learn how to develop healthy relationships with phones. And if we're honest, and again, I think this is where we have to be honest as parents, we most likely don't have a good relationship with our phones.
Yeah.
And so we are projecting our own fears and insecurities onto our kids. And that's the one extreme. And so we're just saying no. And the other extreme is, you know what? I'm busy. Life is full. This is a great way to entertain them and keep them occupied. I'm just going to get it for them. And it's a big part of our world. They're going to figure it out one day. Let's let them run. And obviously both extreme positions, like there's a lack of health. There's a lack of responsibility in both of them. And so we're trying to figure out like, what does wisdom look like in this moment? And that's what we've been asking. And there are some things that we've come to as a family, learning from different people and having our own conversation and taking this matter to prayer that we feel like will help us create a healthy framework for saying yes to phones now for them in this season. But it's going to be an ongoing conversation that we're going to continue to have. And you mentioned the rope. Share
that was in that same resource that we'll put in the show notes because it's so great. It's like 22 pages, very concise. And she was saying it's not if they make poor choices with their devices, it's when.
Yeah.
And you loosen, it's like a rope that's attached. You loosen it and then you pull it back. I think reminding yourself and your spouse, allowing the Lord to remind you regularly, you are the parents. And just because they have a device, an iPad, a phone, whatever it may be, it doesn't mean that it's just complete freedom. And that is a lot of the conversation right now with, okay, once you get the phone, what does it mean after that? And as fun as it seems to do the whole Christmas morning, open it, oh my gosh, my dreams have come true. We're not choosing to go that route because we're going to have a contract around the phone so that the gravity, yes,
Right.
your cute face, like what? Maybe I don't want a phone. A contract just meaning we're going to write out expectations.
Oh, I thought we're
consequences. No.
Okay. I was like,
Writing out
really?
expectations, the consequences when those expectations are not upheld. And we're going to do it with you guys.
Yeah.
We don't want to set some unrealistic bar where it's just constantly being taken away. But there will be times when it is taken away. And maybe we could even come up with a contract for our own phones. Honestly, I think that all in this theme of what it looks like to model this, because you do go through ebbs and flows and taking, I think our screen sabbatical will become even more real, whether it's a half day a week or whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
I miss that when you and I would put our phone.
I actually miss that too.
Wow. See?
With y'all.
See?
It's really important to hear.
Yeah.
I love that. So a few practical things that we've talked about doing that would be a part of this contract. We've talked about a time at night where all the phones are in one location, ideally in either our bedroom or just outside our bedroom, where they're there for the night. And we've talked about that being 8:30 at night. So the last 30 minutes to an hour of their evening, completely phone free.
Yeah.
So that's something we've talked about. We talked about the contract, and obviously we're going to use the controls, the parental controls that are available to us to just block the content that is out there that will target your children, especially at that young adult age. I was talking with a buddy of mine yesterday, actually, who came out of the porn industry. And so he has a passion for protecting kids from the way that the porn industry is targeting people younger and younger. And he said, I think it was 3 years ago, the average age of exposure was 11. In just 3 years, it's dropped 3 years. So now it's 8. So it's gone from 11 being the average age to 8. Yeah, of porn exposure for children. And so we have to be mindful of that and put necessary safeguards in place, but don't just put those in place behind the scenes with your kids not really knowing what you're doing. Inform your kids. So if they are exposed to something, because again, they will target children. They will.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they're going to see something that's pornographic. They know how to process it, and that shame doesn't latch onto them, and they find themselves bound by a cycle of shame. And so that's something, use the limitations, like something that we're doing on their phones. And this might be controversial for some people, but they won't have YouTube on their phones. And it's not that we're anti-YouTube. It's just we feel like YouTube should be engaged with at a certain place and at a certain time.
In a main area with
area.
adults present, or kids who understand. Like Sophia, you do a great job being mindful of your younger siblings and yourself. And
And it's not that, and this is what your kids can't hear. Like they can't hear, especially in this age where they're learning to be independent. And we want them to mature eventually into interdependence, where they choose in their independence to have healthy dependence on other adults in healthy relationships, enjoying their lives with others. We're not trying to control them, but we are trying to create safe environments where they're able to understand and exercise freedom.
And self-control.
And self-control, ultimately. And that's where this has to be a conviction that they have that is sustained by their relationship with God and their understanding of the world and how the world works. Because they will fight back. They will find the little holes in your approach. They will. Like teenagers are really good at this. They will find the little holes and exceptions to your rules if they don't understand the spirit, the why. Like we have to disciple them in that, because if they can get that, then they can be better prepared to navigate the nuances that will come, invariably, that will come with navigating this massive world that is a phone.
Yeah. And this is an ongoing conversation. Obviously, like we said, our kids will start with no social media. So that's going to be the next step. We really are going to progressively add, because that, again, is a really good guideline for it. So would you come on and talk with us again? Did you?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? I did see a couple yawns, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
Maybe we should have given you coffee.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy being a part of the conversation?
We enjoyed having you.
Yeah, we'll have you again. A little fun before we go. 1 to 10, how is your dad doing as a dad right now?
Wow. I feel like I'm on blast this episode.
Probably 7.5.
Oh,
7.5.
good.
Wow, that feels low.
It's okay.
Just being real, it feels low. Wow.
Oh, so much room for growth. Appreciate your honesty. I know I'm a 10, so on that, we're going to head out.
You're probably a
I regret
7.
this answer.
Wow. Yeah, this is a weird one.
Okay.
I can take it. Sophia, would you feel comfortable praying us out?
Sure. God, thank you that you are guiding us through this decision with the phones. And thank you that you will tell us when the time's right to get them and help us to navigate the phones and learn through them and learn with them. And thank you for my parents who will help us through this and give us and help us learn. And yeah, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us at home with the Beveres. If you want to keep coming into our home and coming around our tables and talking to us through comments and digital ways and connections, then make sure to subscribe and like this video. Thank you. Just do it. I've already told you this before in so many other episodes. Babe, I'm trying to record. Can you stop laughing? Yes. Thank you. Do it.